The rain hammered the roof like 1,000 tiny accusations, each drop a reminder that I had nowhere else to go. My apartment flooded, again, in the endless Seattle drizzle. And my best friend Alex was off backpacking through Europe, chasing sunsets I could only dream of. So there I was, 22 and soaked to the bone, pounding on the door of the one place that felt like fragile safety, his family home in Capitol Hill. Mark answered in a faded flannel shirt, sleeves rolled up over forearms etched with faint scars from years of fixing what broke. Alex's dad. 45. Widowed 5 years now. With eyes like storm clouds that had seen too much gray. "Jordan," he said, voice gravelly from the late-night grating he'd been buried in. No questions, just a nod and a towel thrust into my hands. "Get in here before you drown." I stripped down in the guest room. But the pipes groaned like they were mocking me. Another leak. Hot water sputtering out after 2 minutes. Mark appeared in the doorway, steam curling around his broad shoulders, a spare set of sweats dangling from his fingers. "Bathrooms shot too?" "Figures." "Old house." His gaze flicked down, quick as a shadow, then away. I felt the air thicken, my skin prickling under the damp towel. "You can take my bed. I'll crash on the couch," I protested, half-hearted, cheeks burning, but he waved it off with that easy authority teachers have, the kind that makes you feel seen and small all at once. His room smelled like him, sandalwood soap, worn leather from the armchair by the window, and something earthier, like the pine needles he raked from the yard every fall. The bed was unmade, sheets rumpled from restless nights I could only imagine. I slid under the covers, the mattress dipping like it remembered his weight, and stared at the ceiling fan slicing lazy circles in the dim light from the street lamp outside. Sleep came in fits, chased by dreams of water rising, of hands pulling me under. Sometime past midnight, the door creaked. I bolted upright, heart slamming. Mark stood there, silhouetted, rubbing the back of his neck. "Couch is lumpy as hell. Mind if I?" He trailed off, gesturing vaguely. Thunder rumbled low, shaking the windows. I nodded, scooting over, my pulse a wild drum in my ears. He climbed in fully clothed, back to me at first, the space between us crackling like live wire. The storm raged on, wind howling through the eaves, rain lashing the panes in frantic sheets. I shivered, not from cold, and he noticed. Of course he did. Mark shifted, his voice a low rumble in the dark. "You okay, kid?" The word stung, a barrier I both hated and hid behind. "Yeah. The rain reminds me of that night Alex and I got caught in the downpour at Gasworks Park. We laughed it off. But," my voice cracked, the unsaid hanging heavy, "but you're not Alex. You're the man who's haunted my peripheral vision for years, the one who grilled burgers at our high school grad party with a laugh that boomed over the grill smoke, who hugged me too tight when my own dad bailed on family weekends, who looked at me once, just once, during Alex's coming-out dinner with eyes that lingered a beat too long. And then, propping on an elbow, his face inches from mine in the flash of lightning. Silver threads wove through his dark hair, and stubble shadowed his jaw like he'd forgotten to care. Up close, he smelled of rain-damp cotton and faint whiskey, probably a nightcap to chase away ghosts. "Alex talks about you nonstop. Says you're the brave one." The pause, heavy as the thunder rolling away. "But tonight, you don't look so brave." I swallowed, throat tight. "I'm not. Not really." The confession slipped out, raw and unbidden. My parents' divorce had gutted me last year, Mom's new boyfriend sneering at my phase, Dad vanishing into workaholic silence. Alex knew. But Mark had been there, quietly slipping me books on resilience from his classroom shelf, texts checking in after late-night bar crawls I never mentioned. His hand moved before I could think, a slow, deliberate slide across the sheets to rest on my shoulder. Steady. Like an anchor in the gale. Hey! His thumb brushed my collarbone, accidental or not, sending sparks skittering down my spine. You're safe here. Always have been. The dam broke then. I leaned in, forehead to his chest, and the sob I'd bottled for months tore free, a ragged, ugly sound muffled against his shirt. He froze for a heartbeat, then his arms came around me, pulling me close. Not like a father. Not quite. His body was solid, unyielding oak, heart thumping steady under my cheek. I felt the hitch in his breath, the way his fingers threaded into my damp hair. Hesitant at first, then firm. Holding. The rain softened to a patter, but the storm inside us brewed hotter. Minutes blurred, his hand tracing lazy circles on my back, my leg hooking over his instinctively, seeking more of that warmth. The sweats rode up, skin to skin, and awareness bloomed like heat lightning. Finced. A low exhale ghosting my temple. Jordan. My name. Laced with warning and want. I pulled back just enough to meet his eyes, storm dark, pupils blown wide in the low light. Don't stop. The words were a plea, my hand fisting his shirt. I'd crushed on him since senior year. Stolen glances over family dinners, jealousy twisting when he'd date women who never stayed. But this, his vulnerability mirroring mine. The widow's loneliness etched in the lines around his mouth, it cracked me open. He searched my face, conflict warring in the furrow of his brow. Then, with a sigh that vibrated through us both, he closed the gap. His lips met mine soft at first, tentative, tasting of salt and restraint. I melted into it, fingers digging into his shoulders, the kiss deepening like the thunder we'd weathered, urgent, consuming. His beard scraped my chin, a delicious burn, and he groaned low, the sound pooling heat in my gut. Hands roamed, mine under his shirt, mapping the ridges of muscles softened by time, his cupping my jaw, thumb stroking my cheek like I was something precious, breakable. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed, breaths mingling in the humid air. This is wrong, he murmured, but his body betrayed him, hips shifting closer, the hard line of him pressing insistent against my thigh. Alex. Good. What am I doing? You're feeling, I whispered, voice wrecked. For once. Just feel. I kissed him again, pouring every unspoken ache into it, the loneliness of hookups that meant nothing, the fear of forever alone in a city that chewed up dreams. He responded with a hunger that scared me, flipping us so I straddled him, his hands gripping my hips like he'd never let go. The bed creaked under us, sheets tangling like our lives, messy, inevitable. Clothes shed in a frenzy, whispers turning to moans that echoed the dying storm. His touch was reverent, exploring with the patience of a man who'd lost and learned to savor. Fingers tracing my ribs, lips on my neck leaving marks like promises. When he entered me, slow, eyes locked, a shared gasp ripping the air, it was more than release. It was collision, my youth crashing against his guarded heart, vulnerability bared in the slick slide of skin, the creak of the headboard sinking with our ragged breaths. We lay spent, limbs entwined, the room heavy with the musk of us. Rain whispered against the glass, a lullaby. His fingers traced idle patterns on my arm, and I felt the shift, the way his hold softened from possession to protection. I haven't. Since Elena, he admitted, thought that part of me died with her. I propped up, heart aching at the grief in his eyes. It didn't. You just needed someone who sees you. Not the dad. Not the teacher. You. Tears pricked, hot and unashamed. And I needed this Someone who holds on when everything floods out. Dawn crept in, gray light painting us in forgiving hues. He kissed my forehead, lingering. What now? Alex comes home in 2 weeks. This house. It's his world too. The conflict loomed, sharp as the espresso machine gurgling awake downstairs, bitter, necessary. But in that moment, tangled in sheets that smelled of rain and revelation, I knew. We'd face it, the awkward talks, the labels we dodge at first, the quiet dates in hidden cafes where no one knew our story. Mark would teach me strength, not from books but from the steady beat of his heart against mine. I'd show him joy in stolen touches, in mornings where the sun broke through clouds just for us. As birdsong pierced the quiet, he pulled me closer, his sigh a vow. Stay, he murmured. Not just tonight. I nodded, the weight lifting like fog burning off Puget Sound. One hold had rewritten us, friends, lovers, survivors in a world that didn't always understand. And in the soft American morning, with coffee brewing and possibilities unfolding, everything had indeed changed. For the better. Forever.